All right, so with our Coding for Good app development, this is batch 3. For our senior level, we have 5 steps. Step 1, learn to collect and visualize community data. Step 2, write objects to organize and store data. Step 3, design a community data action plan. Step 4, analyze your community data. And step 5, develop a prototype for a social app on your own. All right, so we're going to begin with the Girl Scout Promise and the Girl Scout Law. So the Girl Scout Promise, if you can join in with me. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout Law. The Girl Scout Law. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and to be a sister to every Girl Scout. Thank you, girls, for joining in with me on that. All right, so let's talk about apps. I'm going to unmute you and just want to vocalize and hear what you have to say in terms of your app, what favorite apps that you use in your daily use. So I will begin sharing. I love Instagram, I guess because it's only pictures. I can quickly scan through. I think the usability of it is simple. Sometimes it can be a little challenging. Oh, I didn't mean to like that. So I have to quickly untap. But that's one of my favorite apps to use. So Kathy, Elliot, what are some of your favorite apps that you like to use?
I like using Snapchat.
I'm going to tell my age here. I'm not a Snapchat user. So could you explain that to me for anyone that doesn't use Snapchat?
Well, like Snapchat, it's like more easier for me to like text people that I usually don't like have phone numbers from.
Okay. All right, Elliot?
I don't really use any of those apps, I guess.
So even within your Girl Scout troop, I know one of my coworkers, her daughter is a Daisy, and they use Band to kind of communicate about different events for their group. Do you use anything like that?
My troop didn't really use any of that. I guess they just communicated over like text messages.
All right, well, what about YouTube? You use YouTube?
I guess I sometimes use YouTube, not really.
Well, that's an app, so that's trying to get everybody to have a reference point. Evelyn?
Sometimes I use the Spotify, the music app, but that's about it.
All right. I'm going to jump in and ask some of our staff members that are on the call with us. Lauren or Lindsay or Danielle, do any of you use any different type of social media apps or applications in your everyday life?
Absolutely. I love to use the Kindle app. I like to read, and so I do have a Kindle, but sometimes it dies. So I, just read on my phone, or sometimes I'm stuck someplace, so I have the app on my phone too.
Mm-hmm. This is Lindsay. I use Instagram, Facebook. Mm-hmm. I think Instagram is my top one that I use to connect with people. I have a Snapchat, which I do like it. And I think the new thing now is TikTok. So now I'm on TikTok. I don't post anything, but I'll watch all the funny videos.
And that's great. And when you're looking at, thank you all for sharing, you're looking at app development, it's good to kind of look at other apps. If like, for example, if I were to develop an app, I would try to research Snapchat to kind of see what it is, why it's trending, maybe the usability of it to kind of help and put some of those components in my app development. All right, so we're going to get started on step 1, which is learn to collect and visualize community data. Now, right now, this is a big year for us, not only because of certain things that's going on, for example, COVID-19, but the census is actually taking place right now. And the census is, we use the census to collect community data, which is very excellent time for us during this badge work session today. So collecting data from a community means that you're actually collecting the data, organizing it, taking what all that you've collected, and then analyzing the data, and then presenting it in a way that people, everyone you're thinking about, can understand, or your targeted audience. So, and then again, data can be various things. It can be simple data, complex data, different algorithms that's going to help to kind of pick out certain points from different sets of data. And then in conveying that data using charts and graphs, any way to make it more understandable, and even pictures. So with the census going on, not sure what you know all about the census, but the census kind of makes sure that everyone has a vote, similar to a different election, our elections. We want to take the census data and do fair representation. It's about helping different communities get different funding. So it means we have $675 billion that needs to be equally, hopefully, distributed among different communities based off of their needs, their wants, and their desires. Good thing about the census data is confidential. Everyone can help. And again, it helps us just get a more accurate description of everyone that's represented in the United States. So with your community data, depending what you're trying to find out, you have to think about what is the purpose of you doing what you are doing. So we're going to move on. I'm going to jump back to step one right quick in that. What is a way that you girls have collected data? So either being it from school, maybe in a project, or something with Girl Scouts. I will give an example, for cookie sales. Your troop leaders, they collect data all the time from past data, past numbers. They're using that data to determine how much cookies to order. This is my first year doing cookie sales, or helping with cookie sales, and I kind of learned about which cookies are more popular. So just a quick poll. Elliot, what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
My favorite Girl Scout cookie is the s'mores.
Okay. Kathy?
My favorite Girl Scout cookie has to be, I think, Thin Mints by far.
Evelyn?
Thin Mints and shortbreads, definitely.
And we have Samantha just joined us. So Samantha, do you want to share with us your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Probably Thin Mints or peanut butter patties.
So right there, with just asking those simple questions, I was able to, from just our poll, I could say, well, from what I captured, our seniors prefer Thin Mints over all other Girl Scout cookies. Now, my favorite was not listed at all, but that's okay. They're all great. So that's an easy example to say, hey, how do I collect data? So if you're thinking about collecting data, you need to also think about who you're asking that question to. Now, if I asked a Daisy that question, this is her first year in Girl Scouts, she may have limited experience. She may say, well, anything chocolate. That gives us a lot of options. So from there, how would you take that chocolate, data, and then break it down? So we look at, okay, which cookies have chocolate in them? Shortbread is out, Thin Mints, yes. Samoa's, Caramel Delights, yes, and we can go down the list. Now, if you were to ask an older individual, that question may be different. As you girls will find out, your palates in your mouth, it changed, your taste buds. I didn't used to like anything sour. Now I like sour stuff. So again, you have to look at all those different information and put those together to kind of get a good question set to collect the data. So jumping on to step two, still in step one, I want to show you a quick thing. We do data collection all the time, and apps use data collection from you guys all the time as well. So can everyone see my screen? I'm sharing, this is an Excel file. The screen went. Can everyone see my Excel file? Thumbs up. Okay. All right, thank you so much. So we use, again, data all the time, and different applications are using data from you all the time. This is from ticket sales. We had a star party recently with our council, and this is all the data. I took out unidentifiable information to protect our, protect our participants. But so at least we have the first name, how many tickets they bought, date, time, where they are from, also the state. And this ID is it tells us what form of method of payment they actually use. So looking at this data, just in its raw form, what are some things you think you can kind of formulate from this? So let's look at the ticket numbers. What do those increased ticket numbers possibly tell us about that person that ordered? So for example, Christian, we have two Christians, Betsy, Sandra, Lois. What would we probably assume from looking at their name and their ticket numbers as it relates to Girl Scouts, that they're probably a what? Are they a parent? Are they a troop leader, service unit manager? What's that data telling us from that? Check the chat box. Our troop leader, very good. So they're probably a troop leader. So that right there tells us we maybe wanted to use this data to pick that person out and ask them a question. They would have at their disposal a lot more girls to go ahead and ask. Try to zoom in for you. Okay. Hope that's better. Another thing I want to point out is that it comes to looking at where they're buying from. So in this data, we have a huge representation from which part in our state, the upstate, the Greenville, Simpsonville area. So it's probably safe to say that this group or this troop, they might either have more interest in STEM focused badges, or they may have more interest in outdoor activities, because originally the party was supposed to be outdoors. So we're taking that data and making a lot more predictions and assumptions based from that. Now, how many of you girls use Excel? I love Excel. Excel is like my best friend when it comes to data. So how many of you, just type quickly in the chat box, how many of you use Excel in some form, some fashion? How many of you have used Excel? Let me stop sharing. All right. Okay, Elliot, she uses occasionally. Lindsay loves Excel. Lauren loves Excel. Kathy, she's never heard of it. Kathy, this is your introduction to your new best friend. Elliot and Evelyn, it can do mathematical computations. I'm gonna show you again right quick. So in Excel, I'm gonna kind of zoom out so you all can see this. So if I wanted to know, again, this is just a snapshot, but if I wanted to know how many tickets were sold during this event, I can just type in here total. And you have a feature right here called auto sum. And it selected all of the numerical values in each of the, in that column. And I just hit enter and it already gave it to me very quickly. So Excel does a lot, and I think this is a preferred use program for collecting data. So when you're collecting data, you have to know which tools to use to analyze that data. And Excel does a great job. It uses with calculations. It can put that data into charts and graphs. Samantha uses a lot for school, very good. And in your closing email today, I'm going to send out a little Excel activity to kind of get your feet wet if you don't use Excel. Kathy, that would be probably great for you to use, and other girls to kind of reinforce some of those skills of how to collect data. So I'll send that worksheet with our closing email for today. So we're now that we talked about learning how to collect data, analyze data, let's look at how to write. Let's talk a little bit more about permissions when you're using apps. So when you're using apps, sometimes the apps will ask you do you want to allow this software to use or access some of your, like your camera, your location? And that's very important. As you saw in the Excel file that I shared with you, we're gathering a lot of different information. So we're asking maybe 1 or 2 questions and it's giving us more data versus having to ask that person that you're asking several different questions. So you may be able to ask 5 questions that are connecting 6, 7 different responses versus in asking 20 questions, getting 1 response each. So when you're writing objects to collect and analyze data, think about what you need to access or collect from that app, what personal information you would like to gather, and then see why would it be valuable to collect your users' locations. So let's talk about that for a minute. When you're taking pictures on your phone, do you have the location on that? Do you have the location on your pictures? And what I mean is when I take a picture with my iPhone, it can actually tell me the exact address where I'm at, where that photo was taken. Kind of scary. So if you share that photo, if I were to share a picture that I took with you all right now in a group, and you go to the properties, you can actually see what address I was at. So if you wanted to, like, Lakeia did not do a good job today on that bathroom test, I'm coming to get her, you'll be able to find me. And that's kind of scary. But again, in terms of collecting data, that could be useful. When you're turning on your location services, for example, if my location service is on, and if I go to Wendy's more so than McDonald's, sometimes in my emails, I might get an email from, guess who? Wendy's, because that my application, that app that I'm using is sharing my data. So that's how all this makes sense. So if that one question or that one place I'm going, they're able to share my information. So if I were following a troop leader and I know that she always goes to Michael's to supply supplies, or if she goes to Walmart to get supplies also, or she's always visiting one particular outdoor ranch, that information can be used for me to kind of, in a sense, market certain questions to her. Or as a marketer, it's actually helped me to send that to her. We do our Facebook Lives at 3 p.m. every day, and we do ads. And that ads helped us to kind of collect a certain audience. So when you're using Instagram, there's a feature called recommended, or even Facebook. Do y'all see that sometimes in your own ads and they kind of push certain things to your way, certain pictures? It's because they're collecting your data. So when you're downloading apps and they're asking you, do you want to share? That's what you're sharing. So as we're thinking about community data, when we do create an app, would we want to know the person's location? That's a vital question. We want to know, be able to tell, access their photos and or their emails. So that's a little more complex, but the picture sharing one is a big one, and location, because again, it's helping us to collect data that we can use to make informed decisions and or assumptions. Now, what are your thoughts on the whole collecting, sharing data now that you kind of put our spotlight on that? So let me hear your feedback. So Kathy, Evelyn, Elliot, Samantha, what do you think about that now? Now hopefully you'll look at apps a little bit differently, maybe not. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it could be a little bit dangerous because there's a bunch of stories about people getting kidnapped or stuff because of their location. Mm-hmm. But can you have the app still if you deny having location and stuff?
There's a feature in some of the apps where it says would you want the app to be running in the background while it's not being used? If you turn that off, it only shares your information while you're on the app. So if you're turning it off when you're not using it, it doesn't share your information. I saw Evelyn shaking her head. Any thoughts on that? Because even some apps ask for access to your microphone as well. And sometimes we just check yes and keep going, don't think about it. But I have my own theory about that. I haven't not proven it, but researched it enough to speak on it. But they use your microphone, your photos, your location. So that's something kind of to think about. Elliot, any thoughts? said, no, no. Elliot's not an app user, so probably safe for us all at this point. Just kind of slow it down a little bit when we're thinking about that. Samantha? Okay. All right, so we've talked about how to collect data, application permissions. So when you're using your app, like when you're designing your app, which I know you girls are going to do a great job thinking about what you want to access and how to use the information for good. So we're going to do a quick activity. So I actually bring piece of paper, pencil. Seems very kiddish, but trust me, it works. I want you to write down quickly. Don't overthink it. Just write it down. Put a timer on. We're going to do maybe about a minute. How to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now you may have already done this before, but just quickly write down how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Go. I'm gonna do it as well. So how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And if you don't eat peanut butter, you can substitute with anything else. Peanut butter and marshmallow sandwich. I've heard of those. Or peanut butter banana sandwich, or any other sandwich of your choice. And this is preparing us for step 3. Now, and the great thing, computer science, app development, is engineering. When I used to teach, I used to tell my students, as long as you're following my directions, incorporate my constraints, and as long as you're getting that solution, there's not always going to be a wrong or right answer. So who wants to share what are your steps on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And don't be shy. Everybody's different. Elliot's looking like, I want to. Kathy she's like, I have it. Just, we're going to open up. Okay. All right, Evelyn, you're the lucky winner today. I'm going to pick on you. She's like, oh no. All right, so Evelyn, what are your steps?
Get 2 pieces of bread, jam, jelly, and peanut butter. Spread peanut butter on one side of each slice of bread. Then spread your jam or jelly on one side of the peanut butter side of one piece of bread. Okay. Put pieces of bread together, peanut butter and jelly sides meeting, and you're done.
Okay, Kathy, Samantha, Elliot, do you have anything different? Want to add, take away?
But I put before, like, you put the jelly on to put it in the toaster, so it could be toasted.
Nice.
All right. All right, so I've done this activity plenty of times. I want us to think. So basically what you just did is you're outlining what the purpose of the app is going to do. So if this app is going to tell someone how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, we're going to do that. How many of you have seen The Big Bang Theory, that TV show? Shelton? Okay. Well, Shelton is very analytical. You need to tell him precisely step by step what to do. In app development, think of Shelton in your forefront when you're planning. Shelton would say, where do I get the bread from? Where would I get the knife from? Would I have to open the jar before I spread it? Evelyn's like, then think about that one. So when you're thinking about app development, you have to be, in a sense, Like I said, app development, it takes so long because they have to think about every option, every aspect of what to do. So you would have to say maybe one, gather means it's a broad term of wherever you need to get it from, gather your materials. That would be the first thing. Shelton would be like, oh my gosh, germs, I need a plate, I need a napkin. So materials in parentheses, it could be paper, plates, knife, fork, spoon, whatever you choose. And then from there, you would have to say maybe open those items. So in app development, again, it's a science of thinking about what you want it to do. So please keep that in the forefront of your mind. So we're talking about step 3, design a community data collection plan. It's just that. It's you're making a big peanut butter and jelly sandwich for your community, depending on what that task will be. So when you're doing a community data collection plan, you would define the community and the goal. So the community being who is your audience and what are you trying to collect? Step 2, decide how to organize and quantify the findings. Are you going to use Excel? Are you going to use a Google Docs form? Are you going to use QR codes? And then once you get that information, how are you going to organize it? Now, and that leads us to a good point of sample numbers and what is your goal? Question number 3, or step 3, decide what questions to ask. Are you allergic to peanut butter and jelly? Peanut butter. Will that automatically deter you from not wanting to even participate in that survey or inputting data? And then 4, share the data collection plan and ask for feedback. So before we have great mind brainstorming sessions as a staff here with our council, but it's always good to say, hey, ask my counterpart, Lauren, Lindsay, could you please put a second eyes to this? I may have missed something. And usually that's a great way to kind of get things solved. So let's quickly, I'm gonna unmute everyone again. And in your community, what do you think is one problem, or I would like to say challenges versus problem? What's one challenge that you face? Where I live right now, there's really nothing for teenagers to do per se, as far as like a fun park. We have one skating ring. We did have a fun park, but that fun park, it just could not, I guess the business-wide aspect of it, it didn't make it. So they closed down. This is before COVID. So right now, as a teenager, as you guys are seniors, only thing that there's for you to do is either a sporting event or outdoor event. And we have the skating ring, that's it. So as a community, as a parent, I would maybe do a questionnaire for high school students. So that would be my community. I'm defining my community. And my goal is to try to help up and coming business entrepreneurs, funding partners to develop some kind of activity or entertainment outlet for seniors, for high school students and kids. So in step 1, in your community where you're at, what's one goal that you would like to kind of accomplish, or one need that your community has? It can be big, it can be small. We're just brainstorming right now. This is going to help you guys in step 5 or step 4.
What you said just then is one of the problems that my town has too, so.
Okay.
Yeah, like my town, like the only place where you can hang out is at McDonald's.
Okay. All right. Samantha and Elliot, the same for you also? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably similar.
All right. And then another thing I think about also is I have to drive about an hour to find a vegan restaurant. So if I don't cook a vegan meal myself, I can't purchase it ready to go. So that would be another maybe community issue that I feel we have, or another goal I would like to do. So now that we have our goal, who would be the right people to ask or develop this questionnaire for, or collect this data? Who would we want to ask these questions to? So we're trying to find a outlet for teens. That's our goal. Who would we ask? Who would be our community to gather that data from? Kathy, you're muted, I think.
Oh. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Am I?
So who would be our target participants to collect data from? Who, if we develop a survey, who would we want to ask?
The city board.
Oh, very good, city board. When we talk about zoning, that's very important, if they would allow it in that area. You're in what grade, Kathy?
I'm in 9th grade. I'm going to 10th.
Okay. Evelyn?
9th going to 10th.
Elliot, same.
9th grade.
Samantha?
Yes.
Okay. So think about your high school and that population. I think we have 3 high schools. So if I were to create this data, or you would create this data for 3 high school students, where I'm currently at, that might be about, I think Sumter High has about 1,000 kids. Lakewood, Crestwood, about 300 each, so about 1,600 kids I could survey. So that would be maybe a good audience, because they will be going to that place, right? Okay, so we can look at high schools. So we have the city board, the high schools, what else?
Parents.
Maybe like local businesses.
All right, parents, local businesses. In terms of thinking about safety, I think that's a great aspect that the city board, they would tie in with the police department in terms of if that would be a good idea, if it wouldn't be a good idea. So when you're thinking about your goals and how we just brainstorm who to ask, that would be an excellent way to do that. So city board, your high schools, parents, local businesses, and police. Now, we're jumping into that 3rd step. What questions will we ask them?
Maybe like how to make things safe.
So what safety protocols could be put in place if we open this entertainment outlet for teens? Now, I would love to, I guess because I have a son, I love doing what some people determine dangerous activities. Like I like paintballing. I can't wait till he's old enough to go paintballing. I'm going to tag him. But like with paintballing, would that be of interest to everyone? So we might ask some questions about like, what would be a good activity for you? I would say paintballing. Kathy might say laser tag. Evelyn might say
Roller skating.
okay, roller skating. Elliot?
I don't really know.
Even like we could possibly think of like, I know when Lauren was saying about Kindles earlier, maybe like some sort of like just like kind of like a meet and greet kind of thing. Not like a meet and greet, but like like kind of like a little, like a team Starbucks, a place for you just to come, collaborate, talk, read books. And then Samantha, if you want to unmute yourself or type in the chat, what would be something that you would like to do? So in these types of activities, this helps us also pinpoint, okay, from our city board, like what is an area that could actually accommodate all of this? What space do we have that could accommodate our wants, desires, and needs? Okay. And then once you have that, you put together your proposal, your plan, and that's how you would then do your app. Okay, a lot of thinking in app development. That's why this session today is more so just kind of expose you to different outcomes and kind of thinking points when you're doing your app. And Samantha says like a teen club, a park, or something, that would be great. Okay, so we're going to do a quick, I'm not sure if you all on your cell phone or on your computer, but I'm going to share with you we talked about Excel, but Google Forms is a great way to share and get quick responses. So we're talking about, we said we would talk to the community boards, the high school, parents, local business owners, the police. Everyone almost has a cell phone. So if you create a QR code, if you go to Google on the app, you don't need a QR code scanner. If you hover over it, you can do scan QR code and it will open you up to this link. And I'm also going to share this link in our chat box so that you can quickly take this survey. I can't find the chat box. So was everyone able to scan this to open it up? Let me stop sharing real quick. Okay. If you didn't, I just put the form in the chat box. So QR codes are a great way to, this is now they have on their doors, contact sent out electronically. So when we're talking about data collection can be very expensive, not only with using paper forms, but even electronically. So we want to kind of minimize the cost. We want something that'll have a great quick response time. And a Google form is a great way to do your questions, and then it puts all of your responses in a nice, user-friendly, easy readability form. So what if you did not take one, not were able to get the response? That's fine. I'm going to share with you what the survey looks like. Okay, so it's the title of it is Girl Scouts Connected Senior Badge Coding for Good. I'm asking, what is your current Girl Scout affiliation? Select one Disney song that I can recite verbatim. So Let It Go, Be Our Guest, A Whole New World, Night Falls, and Hakuna Matata. I joined Girl Scouts because my mother was a Girl Scouts. My friends invited me to join. I wanted to sell cookies. I wanted the camp experience, or no reason in particular. And last question is, who is this young activist? So there's just kind of wanted to show you different ways that you can kind of use a Google form. It is a free service from Google, and you can incorporate pictures, text, you can do a sliding scale, all of those. And also, as the creator of the survey, I'm able to see my questions. I can change them, add to them, and also my responses. And like I said, this is also a good way to show how to show data usability. So we have cadets, seniors, Let It Go, and A Whole New World is a song that most of us, if I were to play it right now, we could all sing along with it. And we have eco responses, the camp, well, no reason, my friends invited me to join, and also the camp experience. Those are our top 3 reasons of why we joined Girl Scouts. And I'm thankful that a lot of you know who this activist is, Greta Thunberg. I follow her. She's a very great way to motivate young girls. So that is great. So from that, it tells me a lot about my audience very quickly. I'm able to take that data, kind of cut, paste, screenshot it, and put it into a presentation. So if I'm working on my gold award, silver award, that would be a great opportunity to kind of get that data set and help me to do that very quickly, efficiently, effectively. All right. So step 5, this is the other portion in which we're going to need our, we skipped over step 4, but we're going to now look at step 5. Develop a prototype for a social app. So we talked about in your communities, maybe wanting to develop a need for teen entertainment. So if you could just trace the outline, this is the outline of an iPhone or Android phone, just trace the screen. And in your questionnaire, thinking about how you want to get that data, what would it look like? So when they're opening this app, what would your app look like? So would it have, and I'm going to show you an example. So in my app, I would do like possibly a question. They could like the question, dislike the question. That tells me if that question is reaching that audience. And they can have the vote to, option to vote on one of the choices. Fetch a question just means that they will go to the next question. I'm going to share this link also in the closing email. I use MIT Inventor App a lot to help with that. So you have two screens. This is showing you what it will look like. And then on the second screen, this is the algorithm of what it looks like to get all of that. Kat, that's all your eyes. Don't worry about it. When you place the blocks in there, the blocks are creating the algorithm for you. So don't worry about that. But this is just kind of helping us to say, when I open this app, I want to ask currently, what do you do for fun? That could be my question. Option A, nothing. Option B, spend time with my friends. Option C, read. Option D, watch TV. And then from there, we could have this, we can put in a text, and that text could say, select the next, click for the next question. Does that make sense? Thumbs up, thumbs down, no? Okay. So I'm going to send this with you. This is going to be part of your next steps for the badge, is to play with MIT Inventor App. I'm going to send the directions on how to do this one along in that email. And you're going to get started on developing your own app. Now, as you can see over here, the user interface, this is a button, this is a checkbox. So if they are able, like how we did on the Google form, if they have more than one option that they could select, or more than one response, they could check it. And then once you put all of these in here, you have layouts, you have media, you can do sounds. It then transform it into the back. This is like the background of the app. So don't get feel like you have to do all of this, but this is just one example of that. So right now, let's take some time. Let's just develop the opening face of your app. So in your app, what would your app look like? So on your piece of paper, just quickly think about what we talked about, an outlet for teens. And I want you to draw the interface of a cell phone. And then think about what you're going to put on that cell phone or on that application. So what would your app look like? So once they open your app, this is your home screen of your app, your landing page. And we call this step a wireframe. It's just showing you what it kind of looks like. So when you take this on in the career world, take it on to the next development team, marketing, design, they're able to develop what you put on paper. So you might want to have a logo, maybe a title. Okay, so I quickly did mine. I have a logo, and I'm using a Sharpie, so excuse me, a logo. It can have some kind of title for the app. Over here, it could be an image. And we talked about permissions earlier, so I would have a small checkbox saying that I would maybe want to gather their location information, so I wouldn't even have to ask that question. So when I put that there, that check mark would then ask for access to their Google Maps, any kind of location program that most cell phones already have. And then I would have some kind of maybe facts or questions right there for them to answer. I just want to commend you girls for being awesome participants today. I hope that this session has really encouraged you in your thinking of app development from a computer science standpoint. And before we move on to what our next steps are going to be, would anyone like to share their wireframe for their app? It's okay. And we have Lindsay on the call with us, who's our program manager for older girl programs. And I'm just thinking, hopefully she could take this and make a connection, help us make a connection with how this could possibly work with the Gold Award idea that you may have if you're going to aspire to complete your Gold Award.
Absolutely. This will be included in some future trainings.
All right, so step 4, now that we kind of have a handle or an idea of how to collect data, some different tools to collect data, Google Forms, now we have even a tool, MIT Inventor, of how to create an application or that can actually be shared out and tested. Think about the data, those questions that you want to ask. Research a little bit more about your community. If any others have already tried to do a entertainment center for youth in that area, and then analyze it. And again, what that means to you. Now, we just did the example of a entertainment center for youth because that's my audience today. But think about any other community involvement issue, environmental issue that a community where you're at might need to look at. And then from there, find a way to do a data collection, a survey, market those, develop those questions for the survey, and then from there, find a way to get that survey out in responses. And another point to look at when you're doing a survey, how many people do you think would provide a good average? So maybe 100 people, 200 people, 50 people, 10 people. It's up to you, but we want to get a good representation when we're talking about data collection. So that is your next step. So I hope that you have enjoyed your session today. I wish we could do a part 2 of this, and I might see if we can. But I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's good to see you all staying safe, healthy on our call today. But we have next week, we have our older girl. We have a cupcake design party at 5 p.m. So I would like for you to join. And also today at 3 p.m., we have our Facebook Live activity on our Girl Scout Council page. So on behalf of our Girl Scout Council, Mountains to Midlands, and Girl Scouts of Eastern Carolina, I thank you for joining us today, and you girls have a wonderful weekend. Bye.